Welcome back everybody to Mcoc Al Bundy Rules. Got another walkthrough. This is going to be 7.3.4 in Book 2. There's Act 7, Chapter 3, Quest number 4 as continuing on the walkthroughs. Going to take a quick look at the path in which I'm choosing. It's looking like a fairly simple, easier path for completion. Looking at Strive first, going to take a quick look at the notes. Thunderstruck, shock debuffs passes 25% more damage to defender. They take 90% less damage from all sources unless inflicted with shock or passive, so we need to get shocks on them. Right back at it. When defender is knocked down by heavier special attack, they become debuff immune for 6 seconds. Live wire. Both attacker and defender strikes have a 20% chance to apply a shock debuff. For each debuff defender, gain 65% attack, 20% combat power rate, bleed, poison, armor break count twice, so you want to be careful not to apply those on the defender, and shock vulnerability when their shocked attacker's rate is increased by 200% attack. And then we'll have the same basic global nodes we've been seeing that we previously shown. Basically here we want champs that can apply shock. You're going to be preferably, in order to get the damage going on, they're going to take less damage unless you get shock debuffs. However, if you don't have many champs that are good and reliable with shock, which there is a limited amount in the game, then especially without knocking them down, then oops, I accidentally got clipped there. Then you can still get the shock damage with a percentage chance in just basic hits. So applying hits and you could possibly get it. However, getting champs that actually do apply the shock can make it a little simpler. You do have to be careful though on when knocking them down. If they inflict shock damage by knocking them down, say like Guardian and his specials, or Hulkbuster with his uppercut, his little intercepted, his little shallow uppercut. When you knock them down, they're going to gain debuff immunity for a few seconds, which means that any shocks on them are going to go away. So if the main primary way of inflicting shocks includes knocking them down, they might not be overly great, other than the basic damage that is received before the actual knockdown. So be careful with that. And we got that Strive, bait out that special. Gonna do a nozzle S3, get those force field charges as he does his high flying under the ground, right between the, yeah, what a view. Every time I see that special makes me laugh a little as that visual they give. And remember that immunity after knocking him down. So if you're trying to parry, it's not gonna stun. After that, be careful anytime you knock them down. I will try to minimize the amount of knockdowns I do on these kind of paths, just for the simplicity of not having to overly change up the style and the immunity they will get. And now, doing some damage. Strife is starting to go down pretty good. Once I got those shocks up, I figure I could finish them here, so I just went on a 5-hit combo and did a pretty massive special too right there to make okay work of the Strife. Made a few mistakes during that fight. Cost me a little bit of health, but nothing too detrimental. We can move on, go on to the Guillotine 2099. And first one that came to mind when I'm looking at these nodes was Black Widow Deadly Origin. She can do major, massive shocks and doesn't have to knock them down. But I am doing some knockdowns in Guillotine 2099 because of the fact that I don't want her doing that invisible cloaking thing or whatever it's called. I'm watching the timer, so I am going to be playing Black Widow Deadly Origins a little bit different than I would if I was fighting a different offender, only because of the fact of that invisibility Guillotine 2099 does get. But at a certain point, I'm going to have to decide if that strategy is working for me, knowing I'm taking off the debuffs when I knock her down, or if I should just fight around the cloaking. For now, I want to see how this way works. Again, keeping an eye on timers, which is now gone, and that Digicloak happened. But at least I do have that little backup misfailed item that came on over there when I missed on the Digicloak. We are starting to see some massive shock damage going on. I do have to bait out the special too. And Black Widow Deadly Origins is really made for the pass on this fight. This one is going to be a little bit different based on the fact of dealing with the Digicloak. But for most fights on this path, the Deadly Origins, the DO, should be a slam dunk for a lot of these fights. Do got that regeneration going on, but I'm not even tripping over it, as she makes, considering that fight can go different ways when that little cloaking thing's going on. Black Widow Deadly Orders did a nice job there. Now we're going to move on to the Punisher. I'm going to try to use as few champs as I can to get through the path. Based on the bosses, have me slightly concerned as far as the possibility. They're not 100% sure what to expect, but I want to make sure I have enough of a backup team approach as possible in order to make sure I have enough possible backups. If I have to do a committee approach, beat the boss, I need to get through the path losing as little health or champs as possible. So based on that, I'm going to focus using the champs that I feel will be the best for the path, which primarily are going to be the Guardian and my Deadly Origins Black Widow. Seeing some good damage going on Guardian. I decided to use Guardian for this fight just because of his resistances and stuff. Knowing these special attacks on Punisher, I'm not even going to try dexting with those because it usually tends to get a little ugly for me when I do try to dext him. Although instincts do kick in sometimes. You know you don't want to dext them, but instincts just kick in and then you get clipped. Anyway, so Guardian does his little thingy-majiggy he does. Again, we got that immunity after knocking him down. I'm not worried about taking those projectile block hits with the Guardian. Main reason I brought Guardian, a different champ, I'd be a little more concerned, but that was my main motivation for using Guardian here. Was willing to take the block damage, especially from the specials. And thus far, it hasn't done much of any impact on me. Trying to dex are having a hard time dexing on the basic. For some reason the dex has been kind of jacked up again, noticeably so, although it's been jacked up for a while. Knock out this S2 and that easily gets him into that mode. I'm trying to avoid him launching that S2, so I'm keeping the block held down, hoping he does not launch the special. And let's go ahead and finish that off right there. So holding the block prevented him from launching the last special after the endured. Didn't want to take that last little bit of block damage, especially off the S2. Making sure I'm staying on the right path. Yes, I am. This is the same path. So next up is going to be Dragon Man. Gotta be careful here. He can be tricky at times. Want to be careful and cautious. Decided to break back out my Black Widow Deadly Origins, mainly because I know she can do some massive stuff on these paths and these fights. I believe she can make fairly decent work of this fight. Let's see if I'm correct. This way I don't have to play as careful with her as I did with the previous fight I used her on, which was the Guillotine 99. But even this fight I do have to be somewhat careful because of the power gain, and he can get up power very quickly. I definitely want to ensure I don't get him up to the S3, and also want to be careful with the S2s. I prefer to try to bait out his S1s. However, depends on how the baits go. I'm already getting myself cornered. That is not good. I need to clear up some space. I am doing some good damage though. Got that S2 right there. Taking some block damage. I am piling up those shocks. I see that I'm good for an S2. I'm pretty sure I could do some good S2 damage, and boy did I do some good S2 damage. Finished off the fight. You get those shocks going with her around the snow, launch that S2, and baboomy. Completely annihilation. Next up, going to go into the Psycho Man. Again, how I want to use, and I'm going back, so far I've been pretty much tag team in this approach for the path for ones I feel like based on the fights who will do the best. Guardian, again, I decided mainly for block damage. I haven't fought Psycho Man a whole ton. I remember his S1 being fairly simple to dex. His S2 can't 100% remember, and I figured that Guardian might be the safest bet for me on this. Just again, trying to keep as much, if not all of my team alive and not KO before the boss, as some of those bosses look like they could be kind of interesting, so I want to be careful. We have I was waiting for that buff immunity or debuff immunity to expire. We see some unblockable here on the S1, dex those out. And now I'm going to go ahead, get in some shock damage with those hits based on the nodes. Go ahead and knock out this S2. Figured I could get him just short of the S3. I got a little less damage than I was hoping for. I was hoping to get him closer down to 0. Did not quite work, however. 37% ain't bad. My Guardian is at 19% though, and I cannot get this S2 out. Come on. There we go. Trying to bait out that special there. Okay, so yeah, that was a special. Oh, and I roll running in after the special, and I just got intercepted. So I am down to 9%, not a whole lot. I'm going to do whatever damage. I'm hoping Guardian can finish this fight off, because Guardian, even at low health, would still be good for the boss swap out ability. At this point, though, I'm not 100% sure. I am getting close to an S2, so maybe I can finish it off with an S2. And yes, I did. So Guardian did get it done, did get the solo. I wasn't too sure for a second there, but he did what he had to do. But next up is going to be the Mr. Negative. If you have been watching my 7.3 walkthroughs, you would have seen in a previous walkthrough, I forget exactly which one, maybe 7.2 I want to say, something around there. I mean 7.3.2, something like that. Gave me a really hard time because I hadn't fought him in a while. This time I remember just don't knock him down until I'm ready to KO. I kept knocking him down and I just hadn't fought him in quite a while that I just forgot the inverted control aspect. So my strategy here is to just use my Black Widow Deadly Origins with the class advantage, build up those shocks, and when I'm ready to finish him off, I will do so. I am took a little bit of block damage. I want to get her to an S2. We saw what she can do with the S2 in the previous fight. I think I can finish him off with this, so I went ahead and launched it, and for some reason at the end, the last hit didn't do any damage. I feel like that S2 should have finished him off. I don't know if you were watching that, but just towards the end of the last hits, just stopped. He went down to 5% quick and then just no damage. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe there's something on his abilities or nodes I somehow missed. But I feel like she should have finished him off with that S2. She didn't, but that's okay. Did most of it. At least it wasn't as ugly as a fight as the last time I fought him earlier in the walkthroughs for 7.3. And break out Kingpin for the first time. He might seem like a weird choice for the team I brought for the shock, friendly and happiness. However, even though he doesn't do the shock damage himself on his regular attacks, with the hits on the nodes he can. So I had to wait for a little bit of energy, so I took a little pause, restarted the path as I'm close to the boss. I'm going to do character select. I did something I don't always do. I wasn't too sure about this, and I was looking at this fight, and we have the ebb and flow protection, reducing incoming damage by 60%, knocking down the defender reduces protection, grants attacker a fury, so I need to knock him down. When the attacker expires, protection returns. All debuffs on the defender are purified. Need to knock him down. When defender activates special attack, they gain stun immunity for 8 seconds plus 2 seconds for each buff, so meaning it's going to be harder to parry heavy, especially after specials. 1 bar power, fury buff, 2 bars precision, 3 bars cruelty buff. Defender is immune to effects that modify power gain. So these are things I'm going to look at. I already know who I want to bring in here mainly based on the buff issue that can cause power gain. I'm bringing in, some of you who watched my videos probably already know who I'm going to bring in. Anytime there's a fight where they are punished for buffs, Red Guardian's my automatic go-to. I was also thinking about Human Torch. I figured he would be good too. So my thought process was, if I can't finish him with the solo with Red Guardian, I had Human Torch just kind of sitting on my team the whole way, piggybacking to finish him off. I decided I might want to have 2 champs ready for this boss fight just in case, as these Sim Supremes could get a little crazy sometimes. Not 100% sure what to expect. I believe my strategy should be fine, but parrying heavy is going to be an important thing to take that protection off. Keeping in mind, after the Sim Supreme specialist, he's going to become immune to the stuns, which is going to make it a little bit more complicated on the protection. I am wanting to get as much as I can on those shield fractures and the trauma, getting it there. I got a couple of the heavies in there, but I'm not going to be able to, it's going to be hard to keep up because it's going to get purified after knockdowns. Additionally, after his specials. So trying to get the full trauma damage with the Red Guardian is going to be very, very tricky in this fight. More so than it's probably worth. So I'm not even going to give it that much effort. If I get some traumas here and there, cool, I'll take advantage of it while I can. I'm not going to get myself knocked out trying to keep it up though. If you're not sure how I'm using or what I'm using or what I'm talking about on a Red Guardian, I do have a champ tutorial on him, which will also show why he is my go-to on fights like this. between the nodes and between Sim Supreme himself and his abilities, punishing buff heavy champs. Red Guardian's just always a no-brainer for me in these kind of fights. It takes a little bit longer. If I could actually use them the way I would want to use them, I could get a lot more damage a lot quicker, but I don't mind the marathon. I could style, I could be patient sometimes, not always. I do lose my patience here and there. I am thinking this can work though. So far, the fight's a pretty good one. We're going neck to neck, although I am taking some damage from that bleed I accidentally took. Oh, I spoke a little too soon about neck to neck because I just lost a good 20% health, maybe more than that, in the matter of seconds when I got some bleed on me, so that hurt. But Red Guardian's still doing really good. The way I'm looking at it, I just got completely intercepted. Well, I definitely spoke too soon, as we were pretty much neck and neck around the 50s, and all of a sudden I just got obliterated. But this is why I brought Human Torch with me, just in case, and also give me a feel. I'm fairly positive he should be good for this fight, but then again I get kind of confused on what's considered the buff and pre-fight and this and that, and decided, wasn't sure. But he was my backup. And Red Guardian got Sim Supreme about 50%. It could have been a solo if I fought it a little smoother, although it would have took a while. But I am trying out Human Torch, and so far he is looking smooth. He is doing good damage. I'm just going to try to get as much damage as I can with Human Torch. If I can finish him off with Human Torch, that's even better. As long as I get a good amount of health off, I'll be happy and easy to finish this fight off. Doing some mediums, getting those incinerates up. Got lots of those power stings up too. Would love to see Sim Supreme do a special, and he did, and he took a whole bunch of damage right there, and down he goes. So Human Torch worked actually very, very well for that fight too. Red Guardian worked well. Human Torch worked extremely well. I would recommend either and or both of them if you got them to finish up that path for that boss fight when you're going out through completion. And this is wrapping up our 7.3.4 walkthrough in Book 2. For the Act 7 Chapter 3 quest number 4. Hoping this helps. Don't forget I got the whole playlist for all of Act 7.2 and also finishing up all the 7.3. We'll be coming back revisiting some of the boss fights too to get some of these up in this playlist as well. Don't forget to click that top left icon, subscribe to MCOCL Bundy Rules. Don't forget to turn notifications on. Remember I got a little something for everyone, so be sure to check my playlist, check my other content, all the other good stuff I have from champ tutorials, massive damage, highlights, tips, and tricks. And as always, thank you so much for watching.